fundamentally we have today in the black community, certainly in the United States and here, countries where we're domiciled in that are white, we have the integrationist idea that all we have to do is become very French or very British and get equality with whites, and then we've made the struggle is won. And of course, many of our great leaders, as I mentioned, W.E. Du Bois, he prefaced that concept that it was about liberation and becoming one and total equality with whites. Of course, at the end of his career, he realized that wasn't going to happen, and that happened to Martin Luther King. And so now we don't all know, but for me, certainly myself and others, it's some of our ideologies are now proven not to be working, you see, and others have worked. Like, so for example, we used Marxism, and that was in the Black Panther Party, and it was necessary to say, okay, they've got this ideology which allows us to speak to our oppressions without them thinking that we're trying to kill them. And, you know, and they used Marxism as an ideology and a language that allowed us to speak about our oppressions at the international level, and we were able to use that. It's proven not to work, so this is where we're at now, as far as I understand it, that we have these ideologies and struggles among ourselves, and if we sort that out, and I believe we will, because I'm very optimistic about that, then it's going to be liberation for us in the total and complete sense. Within our liberation, we have our own ideologies. Some of us, mainstream liberal theory, racism is just prejudice. Some of us are still Marxist. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Even though we've done it and it didn't work, some are still. And I just want to clarify when I say some of us are still Marxist, because I think some people might get confused with what I'm saying. Terms such as land, labor, means of production, and revolution, they're not, that Marxists didn't invent that. In typical Eurocentric fashion, when you now say the means of production, you know, it sounds Marxist, all right? Or land in common. Now, before the colonial period, in Africa, we had land in common. So the means of production was given to all of us in our communalism. We didn't have capitalist class systems, we had our communalism. But these terms are now co-opted by Marx. So I'm not against land production and all that things that Marx has said, okay? All right, which is the means of production, owned land, owned labor, owned enterprise, and all that. It's absolutely fine. But Garvey's focus was on race.
Right.
And if you're a Marxist now, today, you're basically saying that oppression, our main oppression as black people, is class. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Our main oppression is class. And if our main oppression is class, then of course, why do we have to have these big debates about allies? Because we're all oppressed. You see, and I think Marx has got this term, solidarity among the workers. But if we're all just workers, you see, then you're going to have an undifferentiated revolution of people. And it's just us and the ruling classes who are undifferentiated. They could be anybody. You see, the ruling class can be black, white, Asian, anybody. Okay. And then there's just the workers. So why not all come together for this socialistic revolution that never happened and never will happen? Look, you see what I mean? So that's the point I'm talking about. I'm not talking about not having land in common and producing our own good. Of course, all of that, which sounds Marxist, but it's not Marxist. But I'm talking about the race element.